All right, all right, all right. We're back. We're back. Happy Monday, everybody. This is Real Talk Chronicles. Yes, yes, we are rocking and rolling. I apologize for that situation. Sometimes the powers that be get a little funny with you. But tonight we got a great show. Um, we have a phenomenal guest coming in today, a good friend of the family. We are so happy to have her here. And in lieu of that, I want a celebration of Black History Month. I wanted to give her flowers today, you know, and that is what we're going to do. That is a beautiful thing, you know. So, how are you all doing? So let me get out the. She will be joining us very soon. The lady name is Melba Wilson of Harlem, the Queen of Soul Food. With that being said, let me just run down some things. Of course, the service announcement. The show is sponsored. This is Real Talk Chronicles. If you're watching from YouTube, she's coming in. If you're watching from YouTube, subscribe and share it. If you're watching from Facebook, share it. Go under the name. Without further ado, I have to bring this lovely guest in, Miss Melba Wilson. What's going on, Melba?
I miss you guys. Hey,
we miss you. How are you?
So sorry, I'm coming from the back.
Comfortable. If you gotta get a glass of wine, do that. This is Real Talk. We do what we do here.
I'm so happy to be here with you guys.
Thank you. And I just want to throw out some quick service announcements for tonight for everybody. This show is going to be sponsored by Melba Wilson. So please go to Melba. Melba, give them your address.
Sure. Melba's Restaurant, 300 West 114th Street on the southwest corner of 114th and Frederick Douglass Boulevard, also known as 8th Avenue in the village of what? Harlem.
Hey. And, when you go there to say you saw Melba on Real Talk Chronicles, I don't know if it's going to get you a discount. It might get you a fast seat, but that's But with that further ado, I just want to give some public service announcements. This show is always sponsored by my wife's art gallery, Soft Illusions Art Gallery. They have all kind of graphics and stuff like that. This is all her mother's design. Her and her mother, they have an art gallery. They have a lot of acrylic and fine designs. I'm just saying a bunch of stuff, Melba. I'm trying to get it out the way. You can get your mugs. And Black History Month, you can support Black business. As this is the reason why Melba is here today. We want to support her. So these are all the things that Malika and her mother put together. It's also sponsored by the Deadly Arts Survival Magazine, Martial Arts Magazine. My good brother Nathan Ingram, Satoshi Nathan Ingram is in, and he does it. And yours truly is in this magazine. For those that don't know, I'm a martial artist. So if you want to read about yours truly, you can read about what I've done in the martial arts and things of that magnitude, law enforcement. I want to say, Melba, I am so happy to hear, a lot of people don't give people their flowers. And, as you being a family friend, a friend of the family, you are, when you know somebody for so long, I said for Black History Month, I said, I want to support somebody. We could talk about all the people that we don't know, but I said, I want to talk about somebody I know. And I want to, get right down to the nitty. So this is Real Talk Chronicles. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Melba, for being with us.
Thank you.
First and foremost, how's the family? How's everybody doing during this pandemic?
Thank God. Unfortunately, we did lose a few friends and family members. However, they will live on.
Yes.
In our spirits and in our hearts. Just as so many of us have lost people that are near and dear to us. My son is amazing. Thank you, Mom.
How tall is he now? 6'7", 6'8"? How tall is he?
He's only 6'10". That's all, my baby. I know Yvette Hayward is
your baby.
Laughing somewhere. But I want to give a shout out to your queen, the one and only in the house.
Yes,
because
thank you.
She truly is an amazing sister, and she keeps you happy, and that keeps all of us happy,
Yes, absolutely.
But in her own right, she's an amazing light and a great force. So, shout out to Queen.
That Malika's Melba giving a shout out, and I want to shout out everybody chiming in: Paula Smith, Yvette Hayward, Yvette Hayward, thank you for putting this together, of course, with your assistant, Melba. Thank you. Colin said hello. Mark, he said, hey, Bill, could you ask this beautiful Melba if she's still thinking of making a move to Newark, New Jersey?
Ooh, wow.
They ask questions already. They come in.
All right. You want me to start answering, or do you want me
to
wait?
We'll come back to that. We'll come back to that.
Okay, great.
So hold that question, Mark. Clay Treadwell said, heads up to Melba. They are desperate need of soul food in Hawaii, big time. Roscoe, my man, is in the in-house. So everybody, please have your questions. I will read them to Melba when we get a chance. But first and foremost, Melba, tell the history. How did you start? What inspired you to even go into being a restaurateur? This icon figure now in Harlem and on the world. I will say the world because every time I turn on Channel 7 or other channels, I see Melba cooking on. I said, and you know what's so funny? The most beautiful thing in the world for me is to see somebody. I don't know if anybody else out there that's listening. When you see somebody you know, and you be like, yeah, you know what I mean? Like there might be shows I don't even watch Ryan and Kelly, you know what I'm saying, or whoever, but I'll watch them for you. You know what I'm saying? So
thank you.
Please tell us how you got started in the business.
Well, first of all, thank you, Bill, so much for having me on. I've been a fan of yours for a long time, and to see you flourishing and making things happen, but more importantly, giving people from the communities a voice. Right. That's important. People don't understand the messaging, the vehicle to provide access to information is one of the most powerful vehicles that we will ever have. So kudos and thank you to you for that.
Appreciate you.
My love of cooking started at an early age with my grandmother being from a very small town in South Carolina called Hemingway, South Carolina, that only had 3 stoplights. I marveled at the way that my grandmother would go into the garden, pick greens, beans, potatoes, tomatoes, peas, and lovingly go around the table. Work around the kitchen and prepare this meal with perfect precision, reaching up into her cabinets like she had arms of an octopus.
Right.
And make that magic happen. That wasn't just nourishing for our bodies, but for our spirits, our souls, but also provided a time of bonding. This is where the great-grandmother, the grandmother, the mom, the dad, the sister, the brother, friends, neighbors, everybody sat down together and we had family time together.
Right.
But one of the other things that it allowed us to do is it allowed us to tell our stories. There weren't tape recorders back then.
No.
And so I know how I found out about the freedom fighters being at my grandmother and my grandfather's house.
Wow.
And to know that they hid out freedom fighters in their home. These are stories we often heard around the dinner table.
Yes.
Or how when the Ku Klux Klan came to the house, my Aunt Donna, who had to be about 4 or 5 years old, and they called her Duck because she was very petite, had a big old stick ready to fight. So, or how, my grandparents in Hemingway, how they were the principals and the deans at the schools and how important education was to them. These are things that all happen over what? They all happen over food.
Yes.
So I wanted to emulate that feeling of comfort, just as my grandmother so often did. And that's where my love of cooking came from. It came from watching my grandmother sometimes have a diverse group of people come together. But food was the common denominator. Food was a thing that bound us, that brought us to the table. So, if you think about it, Bill, over every important moment in your life, food plays an integral part of that.
Yes.
Whether it's at your wedding,
yes,
unfortunately at a repast, a funeral,
yes,
at a baby shower,
yes,
at a congratulatory announcement, at a birthday celebration, whether you're 1 or 100.
Yes, amen.
Food is always at the table. I just wanted to be a part of the conversation.
Wow. And you know what's so funny? You said something that your establishment has always given a wholesome, like everybody, and as much as we've partied together at your establishment on Tuesday nights. Shout out to your famous Tuesdays nights that you used to do. And I don't know if you still do it, but we'll talk about what you did on Sundays during the pandemic, which was epic. And I'm sorry I missed that. I was just on social media dancing with everybody. With shout out to Gloria and Rakeem Walker doing their thing. But everything was structured from the family orientation of sitting at the table, like you just alluded to. And that is something that is missing today. A lot of us don't do that. You know, I mean, my father used to have a joke. He said, "Listen, I'm not gonna argue with your mother, but if she don't cook dinner on Sunday, there's gonna be a problem." You know what I'm saying?
That
Because
is
you know,
so true.
especially, and it has nothing to do with people of color. Any old school family or whatever ethnicity you are, you ate dinner together, family together.
Yeah, you did.
So now,
We didn't have a TV in the kitchen or in
no,
the dining room.
no,
You know,
no.
we were our own entertainment. We were our own storytellers. We were our own narrators,
Yes,
and
yes,
food was the conduit that brought us all together.
right,
And I think
right.
that's missing today.
And it is. And you know what's so funny? As you know, like Real Talk really delved into a lot of social conscious conversations and political along with health stuff. But you know, like I said, tonight I'm not even going to ask you there because this is all about a celebration for you. And I'm glad you're going down that rabbit hole a little bit of just talking about families. And I think your establishment instills a familyness, family air. I know I want to get back into, so you talked about the family. So how did it get to the ownership or starting? Because you started at a certain place that some people may not
Yeah.
know. So go
Yep.
ahead, continue,
I
please.
started at the iconic world famous Sylvia's restaurant in Harlem. And I started out as a cashier. But when I was a cashier, I loved being a cashier.
Right,
I
right.
probably worked almost every station in the restaurant. And then I was at an event at Gracie Mansion and
Mhm.
walked into a room, and I was actually representing Sylvia's restaurant at this event. It was in the planning stages. And when I walked in, this guy who looked like Pavarotti came up to me and he said, "So what are you bringing from Sylvia's?" I said, "We're bringing greens, and I think we said greens and fried chicken." He said, "Why don't you bring sweet potato pie?" And I was 20 something years old. I have my neck going, my back is aching, my butt's too tight, my booty
Yeah,
shaking.
yeah,
And I
exactly.
was like, "Why don't you bring sweet potato pie?" Little did I know, world restaurateur, renowned, the one and only Drew Nearparent, Tribeca
Wow,
Grill, Montrachet. Oh my God, Nobu, the Nobu Empire. That's who I was
wow,
talking to.
wow.
Long story short, the event happened 8 weeks later. He shows up, taps me on the shoulder, and said, "These are for you." They were the most delectable and delicious sweet potato pie, mini tarts, souffle.
Mm,
Oh, light, airy, and a
mhm,
relationship was born. Drew and De Niro, uh, we partnered on opening a restaurant together that was in the theater district, that
mm.
was to be in the theater district. And it
Right,
was me who said, "No, come to Harlem. Come to Harlem."
right,
Harlem was
right.
a totally different Harlem back then. It was in the 90s. And it was my dream to reopen Minton's Playhouse in the mid 90s. Instead of opening up something in the theater district, let's come to a community that so desperately needed it.
Mhm.
And Minton's, as we know, was the birthplace of the music known as bebop.
Yes, yes.
We worked 2.5 years trying to get the place open and trying to raise the money. And at the time, we couldn't. We Drew and Bob had a great idea. They really wanted the restaurant to be owned and operated by people of color. And at the time, we could not raise the $3 million that it took.
Okay.
Um, a lot of people didn't believe in Harlem back then.
No.
So to have Drew and De Niro say, "You know what? Yes, we're going to do this project." It was before its time, I think.
Okay.
Definitely before its time. But years later, Harlem is the place where everybody wants to be. But it's
Uh,
something that I've always felt. And I feel that as people of color, And some of y'all may not like what I'm about to say, but I am going to say it. We don't have to wait for confirmation. We don't have to wait for confirmation about our lips. Because I know we all remember when people would say, girl, you got them big bubble lips.
Right,
now look
right.
at everybody in the world trying to get what?
Our lips.
Lips.
Our lips.
Okay. Look at our butts. You got that birth butt. Now I can't, everybody I know buying that birth butt. So I'm just saying we don't have to, we're beautiful. We are beautiful people. Our melanin, our skin, our rhythm, our talk, the way we walk, the way we paint, the way we dance. We are already perfect. Absolutely. But that's what happened with Harlem. You know, we were waiting for confirmation that Harlem was a jewel. Harlem's always been a jewel.
You're right
One
about
man's
that.
trash is another man's treasure. And Harlem to me, and perhaps is that I'm born, bred, and buttered in this culture, but I've always known that Harlem is definitely a treasure.
And you know what's so funny? First and foremost, everybody, this is Real Talk Chronicles. I'm your host, Bill Forster. In celebration of Black History Month, we have the iconic Melba Wilson in with us. And she's telling her story, and I'm so happy that she allowed me to interview her and share this. I just want to read some of the comments that people are just shouting. My man, Tramel Thompson, he says, yo, he loves your smile. Shout out to Billy Council's in the building. Stefania says, I love Melba. We'll get back to the other people saying, good evening, Melba. Hello, Melba. This is just all about Melba. And Yvette says, it's such a great story. It is, Yvette. And you know what? I want to talk about the time when we were doing something at your restaurant and Miko Branch was there. And she asked you to tell the story. Shout out to Miko and Anthony. But she had you tell the story. And it blew me away because I was just talking to another friend of mine before I came on tonight. And we were talking about entrepreneurship and what do you have to do to advance your business and your platform. So we want to go continue into that story, but tell people how you saved your money, please.
So I know we got some Southerners out there, tuning in today. So with my family being from South Carolina, what they did was I grew up with a father who worked and my mother was a stay-at-home mom. You know, I have a younger brother and a sister, and my dad would go to work and my mom stayed home, made the food, made the dinner, kept the house clean. She was a housewife. She was an amazing housewife. And my grandmother also lived with us. So my dad would come home on Friday when he got paid, give my mother his paycheck.
Right.
My mother would pay the bills, and then she would take a little bit of what she called just in case money. What was just
money? Right, yeah.
Well,
yeah, exactly.
Just in case money, and she would put it under the mattress. So every Friday, there was a little something that went under the mattress. My dad didn't have a clue. All right. No, it was not called stealing. Okay. It was called just in case.
Wasn't. Exactly. Because some people get it twisted, Mel, but tell the truth. Like it was what people did of people of color. And like I say, sometimes that old school flavor is from all ethnicities. But like you said, the man would come home and he would give the woman the money and she would disperse it and pay the bills and then save it and know how to tuck it to the side. Go ahead.
Right. Just in case. Exactly. So I grew up watching my mother do that. And so I did the same thing. I mean, it just became such a reflex that every Friday when I got paid, be it at Sylvia's or Rosa Mexicana or General Adjustment Bureau, wherever I was working, I would put a little bit of stash under the mattress. Right. So one day I was married, had my son, and helping my ex-husband with his career. And I was on a plane, and I'd heard this so many times before. However, this day, it resonated with me. This was my epiphany. It was my aha moment. The flight attendant said, in case of an emergency, put on your mask first.
Okay.
And even I can still hear that today in my mind. And I looked at my life, and as we, especially as women, we're always taking care of everybody else.
Yes. Yes.
And I said, I said, I don't want to wake up one day and go, what about me?
Mm-hmm.
What about me? What about my goals? What about my dreams? What about my aspirations? What about me? And I said, you know what? I've always wanted to open up my own restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
Let me look and see how much money I have saved under that mattress, because I had always heard that it's hard to get a loan for a jewelry store and a restaurant, right?
Right.
And I knew that nobody would lend to me. I'd never had a loan before in my life. So I
Mm-hmm.
started counting the money I had under my mattress.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I got to 50,000. I got to 100,000. Well, I'm gonna make this quick for you. I got up
This your
to
show. Take your time, sister. This your show. Take your time.
$312,000. Scared
Mm.
out of my wits, because I just knew, oh, now that I realized how much money it was, I was scared. Oh, is somebody going to rob me? Oh,
Right.
a million and 10 things went through my head, even though no one never robbed me all these years. But
Exactly.
that's how, and I decided to take a chance on me. I decided to remove that 4-letter F word.
Yeah.
No, not that one.
Okay.
The other one. Fear.
Right.
I decided to move fear from
Yeah.
the equation.
Yeah.
And to take a chance on who? To take a chance on me, but
Right.
also to take a chance on a community
Mm-hmm.
that has poured so much into me.
Mm.
You know, Harlem, life for me ain't been no crystal stair,
Right. I got you.
as we know the poem states,
Mm-hmm.
but it's through every trial, every bump, every tribulation that has poured into me, and that's actually poured the concrete, which has become the fabric in the quilt of my life. Had I not had those hard times, when the pandemic came, I would have been gone.
Right.
Okay. When tough times came, I would not be able to stand and weather the storm.
Mm-hmm.
But because of my community, a community that's just given me so much,
Right.
that is why I am here on your show and able to tell my story. So it's all about my own community.
That's beautiful. Yeah. And you know what's so funny? I think fear has stopped so many people from being successful. So it's so good that you said that. And shout out to Leon Ellis in the building, the owner of Chocolate. He will be on next week. And another friend of mine that I'm doing a celebration of Black History Month. He told me to tell you hi. And it is so funny.
And a friend of mine. I love Leon.
Yes. It's so funny. Colin Clark said women were such financial accountants back in the days without any formal education. You know, I mean, which is so true, because women back then were able to, what's the song? Bring home the bacon, fried up in the pan. You know what I mean? And still let their man still feel like a man.
Totally.
My man Norman, he's out in North Carolina. He says, Bill, women of today do not know how to cook. Does she offer cooking lessons? And does she know of any good Black restaurants in Raleigh, North Carolina?
Well, I do have a cookbook, and maybe you and your woman can cook together. What about that? You know, cooking is such a wonderful bonding experience, and there's nothing better than learning how to do a new task together. So I would recommend that you go on Instacart, or that you and your lady go to the market and go shopping together. And that you guys start in doing something creative like cooking together. And just in case you need a cookbook, there's many out there, but here is mine.
Yeah, put it out. Yeah, that's it. Look at that. Oh my God.
Which you can order online. Okay.
Where can I get it at?
Great cookbooks. There's so many great cookbooks out there.
But we want yours. We want yours. We want to support Melba's cookbook. So before we go tonight, we'll make sure you tell them exactly where they can get it again. Tina Horton, wow, what an amazing story. So true. Take care of your first book, because we can pour from an empty cup. Exactly. Just shout out to everybody.
Girl, yes.
You know,
and Colin, thank you for that comment earlier as well. Colin, thank you.
Yeah. Let me just say this. Let me give you, like I always said, this is about you and your flowers. No matter who you meet, how you meet them, you have always, from my estimation, from just watching you and just being a friend, a family friend, you smile at everybody that comes in. Now, I don't know if your staff feels that way, but I tell you one thing: when you walk into Melba's restaurant, you can know her for 20 years, or you can know her for 2 seconds. She will smile and greet you and make sure you feel. Now, let me ask you, and I will ask Leon this next week too, but I'm asking you, as a business owner, I understand that part, but I think that is just you and who you are.
Yeah.
Can you
It is.
elaborate on that? Yes, please.
Yeah, Bill, that is me. I mean, what do I have not to smile about?
Right,
You
right.
know, when I walk out of the doors of Melba's on 114th Street and
Mhm.
Frederick Douglass Boulevard, I look to my right, and there's the man himself.
Right, right.
He's an amazing monument to Frederick
Douglas.
Douglass.
Right.
When I look to my left,
Mhm.
there's Harriet Tubman, my number one shero, who built an underground railroad. And what do I have not to smile about?
Mhm.
Our ancestors have paved the way for us, and
Yes.
they did it without malice, with so much pain. I'm sure pain that we can only imagine. So at the end of the day, I say, I won't complain.
Right,
Now,
right.
does that mean every day is happy?
No.
Hell to no. Excuse my language.
No, this is just
Right?
show. This is what you want to say. Yeah, exactly.
Harlem, so I get a pass. Don't be fooled by the slick back, y'all.
Exactly. Let's tell it. We real Harlem right now, but we are real Harlem right now. Yep.
Okay, breaking one nine, breaking one nine. We got Melly Mel, girl from Harlem in the house. Okay, don't get
That's
it
it.
twisted.
I love it. I love it. I love
They
it.
have to tell you that. They can tell you that I love them, but you show up late, mama's not happy. Okay.
No, no.
Um, but what do I have not to smile about? The fact that there are over 25,000 restaurants in the city of New York. Someone woke up today and decided to walk through the doors of Melba's.
Yes.
What? I ain't gonna complain. You
No.
understand? No one has to walk in my doors. I never take it for granted,
Right.
and I never expect it. I am always grateful and gracious because I understand it does not have to be this way. Bill, I don't advertise.
No.
I don't have an agent.
No.
I just got a publicist for the first time in November.
Wow.
No. Was it? Yeah, in November. In November of 2021. So the fact that people know about us, they hear about us, and that they walk in that door or pick up that phone and call us, whether it be for caterings or whether it
Mhm.
be for a reservation in a restaurant, I am extremely grateful. And I will never forget. I'm still the cashier that worked at Sylvia's.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Okay. I don't have any partners. I don't have any investors. So I am here by the grace of God and by the grace and commitment of my neighborhood and
Yes.
my community. And I
Yeah.
don't take that for granted.
Yeah. And I saw right there that you had a touching moment because, like you said, I saw a flashback as you were going through your head that all the hard work that people don't know, you felt right there. You understand? To paying Peter to pay Paul or paying your staff to doing everything you have to do. Because the one thing, everybody sees the smile. They don't see you when you're in the house
Come
or
on
you're at
now.
your desk. Exactly. Or you're trying to, or whatever time you go to sleep and don't go to
Come on
sleep or get
now.
up. Yeah. And then you're trying to make everything happen because you're a businesswoman.
Yeah.
And a lot of times people need to understand that. And we
Right.
don't support that. But you get that and you get that respect because as you have alluded earlier, you hobnob with Robert De Niro to the Bill Fosters. And everybody is an equal person. I
That's
mean,
right.
from just having the Prince and Megan in at your restaurant, from anybody can walk in your restaurant. I met Neo in your restaurant.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
just you can meet anybody in your restaurant. I just want to read some comments. Everybody, this is Real Talk Chronicles. I'm your host, Bill Forster, with our special guest, I'm gonna call her the iconic Melba Wilson out of Harlem, but she is much bigger than that. But she reps Harlem, and that's a beautiful thing. For Black History Month, I had to give her flowers, and I hope you all give her those too. Let me just read something. My man Mark that asked you about the question. I'll let you answer this question after I read this statement. But he asked about would you go to Jersey or Newark. But Mark said, Bill, you are the prime example of Harlem love. Wow, thank you. You came from activist journalist to a former New York City detective to interviewing with Harlem's icon. I appreciate that. So you know what? Yeah, it's the evolution. It's not, wearing different hats. Because Melba, one thing I do know, if push come to shove, you're not supposed to. But if you got to go in that kitchen and cook, you will go in that kitchen and cook if you have to.
Have done and will do it again. Okay. Or not just clean the kitchen, but clean a toilet, wipe a window, bust a table. Come on. You do what you have to do. But that's the difference that's the word passion. Right? Like, this is not a job. This is my passion.
Yes.
And you may have more this and more that than me, but what you don't have is more passion than I have and the ability to give it your all.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You said something that was so impressive. You said you just got a publicist right now. And how long have you been in business now?
18 years. It's going to be 18 years.
18 years. So that means word of mouth has gone farther. You can't defeat a word of mouth. I don't care who you are. Word of mouth is the epitome of success, because somebody said, "Where are you?" I'm going to Melba's. And it was so funny. Shout out to Allison Williams. She told me to tell you hello. She's still recovering. I thought she was
just on my name.
Yeah, there you go. But she definitely she is watching. She wanted me to tell you to say hello. And she will be back, everybody, on the 21st. But and she's doing great. She really is. We had a nice conversation, Malika and I, along with Allie. We just had a good conversation, and she was just saying she'd rather come back the 21st when she be strong, but she's definitely watching tonight. With that being said, Vivian Garcia, she said, Melba's smile is so contagious. It is. It is. I'm just gonna deviate for 1 second. Your skin is flawless. What do you do? Like, Melba, as long as I've known you, I've never seen a pimple. like, yo, you're gorgeous. Like,
it's the water in Harlem. It's the water in Harlem and them collard greens at Melba's, y'all. No.
Is that pot liquor?
Pot liquor martini. And, it's the melanin in our skin.
Right.
It's who we are as a people. That black don't crack. You know that.
Absolutely.
I think but it's water, and I'm gonna be straight up with you. I still use my Noxzema. I don't care what nobody says.
Listen, I was brought up on Noxzema, Melba.
And I use the original. Don't give me nothing. Don't give me the fancy one.
Yeah.
And I use the one in the jar. Don't give me no squeeze tube. No. If it ain't broke, as my grandmother would say, don't fix it.
Melba, my mother and father would take that Noxzema and go in there.
Right. Burning your eyes and everything, right? I'm a Noxzema girl. Noxzema Ponds. Come on.
Well, listen, Malika, we gotta get some Noxzema tomorrow, because
we hope the stock in Noxzema goes up right now, right?
Oh, you're right. Because listen. You see, Melba, if Melba touch it, it's gonna turn to gold. Shout out to Holly Moore, Hollister, somebody to tell you hi. She's chiming in.
Holly, I love you, Holly.
Yes.
But you look at Harlem. Harlem is such a mecca. I mean, it's the mecca for Black culture.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
There's no place else in the world that sets the trends when it comes to liquor. Mm-hmm. If Diddy is talking about Ciroc, that Ciroc's coming into Harlem first.
Yes.
And if it does well in Harlem, you see it all around the world. In terms of fashion, look at Dapper Dan.
Yes. Okay. Shout out to Dapper Dan, our brother. Yes, exactly.
Dapper Dan, and you look at B. Michael and all of the Harlem icons that we have here. When you look at Bevy Smith and what she does on the fashion world, D'Angelo, this amazing designer, Edwin D'Angelo, that we have here.
Yes.
There's so many wonderful designs that come out of fashion. And music. Did I say music?
Yes.
Okay. starts in the gospel churches. It's riveting. It's soul moving. That's what we do. If you look at the hats, the music, food.
Yeah.
Now, food, let's talk about food for a second. Because when I mentioned the collard greens earlier, on my first trip to Africa, which was in 1993, totally changed my life, Bill. Totally changed my life. I went to Senegal. One of my dearest friends, Belgica, invited me to Senegal. Her family's from Senegal. And Bill, was the first place that I went that I wept like a baby.
Really?
Totally changed my life. That's when I started dressing in more Afrocentric clothing, because I saw us as kings and queens, not living in huts.
Yes.
Not wondering, how did you get here? No, we are kings and queens, and we come from kings and queens. When I look at the food in Africa, a lot of the food is the food that we eat here, the collard greens, the pizza, the sorrel. When I look at, when I watched how a young girl would sit between her mother's legs and her mother would braid her hair, it reminded me of my grandmother braiding my hair, or my mother taking the hot comb as I gently held my ear.
Remember that?
She my hair.
Yes.
And me praying that the oil didn't sizzle and burn me as I was on my way to church on a Sunday morning. And it was a church service that we dressed for. And those church services in our community of Harlem were epic.
Yes, very much.
They were trying to bring communities together. It's where we dressed all dapper and clean. It's where you didn't chew gum, you didn't talk, right? My mother may go
in church, you get popped in the mouth.
Okay, all right. My mother would go in her purse and give me a peppermint if I was looking. But that was the Harlem that nourished me.
Wow.
And that's the Harlem that loves me. So I will always say, in Harlem, of Harlem, for Harlem.
Yeah. And that's a beautiful thing. And shout out, like I said, everybody that's chiming in. They have so many questions and comments. And hopefully, shout out to Debbie Jackson. I will tell Melba you said Debbie's in the building. Billy Counts is in the building. And I would love
to get to some of the questions too, because I would love to know what people want to know. I'd love to answer.
When you get a chance, I think I'm gonna tag you in this, and you can go to Facebook or YouTube. Probably go to Facebook when you get a chance, and you can see a lot of these questions that are coming in, and YouTube. But the YouTube link is yours now to have. You can share this iconic. This is a great thing for me. I know you've been interviewed by so many people, so to give me the opportunity to interview you.
All right, your family, baby, you stuck with me.
Absolutely, and that's the way I feel. Mark said, I had the pleasure to meet her at Freddie Jackson's birthday some years ago. Very, very nice human being. She's always nice, even when it's busy there. I admired her stance during the first days of COVID. She wasn't just speaking to her own restaurant. She was speaking on behalf of her restaurateurs in New York, but specifically in Harlem. Great guest. Love her story. Please tell us about that, because you did take a stance.
So I'm the president of the first female president and the first person of color to ever be the president of the New York City Hospitality Alliance. And in this city, like I said earlier, we have over 25,000 restaurants.
Right.
So the restaurant industry in this country is the second largest private employer in this country. That's huge. So what does that mean? That means that when the doors of a restaurant unfortunately closes, it's not just the doors of that particular space.
Yes.
It is an ecosystem of different businesses in our industries. For example, it's the vineyards, the wine vineyard, right? That hurts from this. It's the fishmongers, it's the produce farmers, it's the poultry, it's a myriad of things. And it's the truck drivers that drive the goods. It's the paper good companies. It's so many different companies. So it's not just a restaurant, that space that hurts from this. And during the pandemic, I was devastated, especially during the time of, for a myriad of reasons. However, they had the PPP loans and they were supposed to go to small businesses. And when I saw large corporations taking this money, I spoke out on it. I mean, I'm never in a room, Bill Foster, as you know, to take up space.
No, never that.
If I am in the room, you will hear what I have to say.
Absolutely.
That's part of me being from Harlem as well. But I'm never in a room to take up space. And so I was interviewed a lot, and I was one of the first people to speak out um, about it because I thought it was unfair. And some of the major corporations did give the money back. So not saying they gave it back because I spoke about it, but I definitely let my 2 cents be heard. Because when most of the small businesses are run by businesses that started out just like me, they had passion, desire, and goals. And to know that these businesses would close because they didn't have, the financial means to make it through this pandemic was heart-wrenching to me. It was
Right.
heart-wrenching to me.
Yeah.
And so if I could do anything in terms of give them a voice, that is my job to do it. So, and it is my pleasure and honor, and it will always be. And Bill, sometimes that does mean standing up for something that's a less than popular stance to take. However, I'm prepared for the battle, and I will always win the war.
And
Especially,
let me just tell you, that's why I love you so much. And I think from the platform that I've taken in regards to speaking up about police brutality and stuff like that. And let me just say this to you one time. I never forget one time you and I were standing out in front of your restaurant, and you said, "I need you to do me a favor." And I said, "What is it, Melba?" You said, "I need you to talk to my son." You said, "I need you to tell him how he can make it home safe." And I was
yeah,
like, absolutely. And thank God the conversation, not that the conversation didn't come to fruition, but the fact that I think you sent him to school away. He was able to go away to school, and he was always protected by a Harlem community because everybody knew him being so tall. It was so funny. One minute he was down at our knees, and the next thing you know, he was like, "Oh, here he is." I was like, "Oh, hey, what's up?"
yeah,
But you told me, he was like, "Yo, I'm afraid because he's a baby and
yep,
he's just growing." So you have always been there to speak up and stuff like that. And just like I've used my voice, a lot of times I've explained to people in the past that to be who you are is the status that you're able to speak of. So if I wasn't the officer that I said I was, and I always say a story ain't true unless somebody can co-sign it. If I wasn't the
mm,
officer that I was and the Harlem dude that I am, I wouldn't be able to say the things that I'm saying that people have to understand and be like, okay, I'm gonna fall back because I really don't want. We're gonna say it in a nice way. I really don't want that kind of smoke. And I'm just talking about verbiage. You know what I'm saying? You just
mhm,
like you said, if you're gonna speak up, Melba's gonna speak up because she's got something to say. She ain't speaking up just to talk, hear herself talk. So that's the
right.
beautiful thing about this. My man AJ Miller, he says, Melba, you have some really amazing food. He says, I come from New Jersey to get your food. And on this Black History Month, I honor you. Thank you.
Thank
Cheryl White
you.
says, I could never get there at the right time. I have to try to visit Melba again. Absolutely.
Well, our hours are 12 to 12, Cheryl, Monday through Friday. We changed our hours during the pandemic to keep more of our staff working, especially when it was only takeout. So our hours are now 12 to 12. But Bill, I want to regress a little bit and talk about
Sure.
what you said about my son. I That's one of the moments that will be forever etched in my heart
Mm-hmm.
because I got divorced when my son was 5, and
Right.
so it was having Black men
Right.
like you
Mm-hmm.
that I know and knew that he would hear,
Right. Right.
not just listen to.
Yes.
He would
Yes.
hear
Yes.
what you were saying was important to me. And I
Right.
thank you for being one of those very small group of men that I could come to and ask for your guidance.
Yes.
Because life is like it takes a patchwork of of fabric in order to make a quilt.
Yes.
And
Amen.
thank you for being a part of that.
Absolutely. And it was a village. Let me tell you something. There was no such thing. The one day I knew I was going to see my sister Melba was on a Tuesday. I knew that. I could see her probably during the week, and we could call. Uncle and I call. We'd be like, "Well, we're on our way," or whatever. And she's like, "I'll come out. You'll come out." And let me tell you something. I know there's so times, and that's why I say your hospitality is phenomenal. And I always remember. I'm sure there's days when you get home and you just want to relax, and then say you have a celebrity, you would get up and come back down, and you'd be right in the character. And I always equate the story to when Jeff Fox from WBLS, and Lenny Green told me to tell you hi. And Jeff Fox said to me one time, he said, you know, we left the radio station. As soon as we came out, somebody was like, "You're Jeff Fox," and he was like, "Hey, ha ha ha!" And he's just finished telling me that he was so tired. And as soon as he smiled, took a picture with the person, and they left, and he was just like, "Oh." So I said, "Yo, Jeff, you feel right in character." He said, "Bill, if you turn one person on, it could be the end of your career, kind of, sort of." So, but I always, and I've admired you. I mean, I've watched you from a security standpoint, a brother standpoint, a friend. You know, just we've closed the spot out, and we've all left together.
Many nights, okay.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And you stayed there, and you stood fast. And let me tell you something: you sat people, and you start giving fingers and start talking. And I love.
Look, I get that black mama look.
Listen, okay? Let me tell you something. Don't make mama mad now, right? Don't get your ass fired.
well, and then there's that, right? Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think, you know what? I think that makes you Melba. Like, there'll never be another Melba. There'll be people that will be inspired by Melba. But the thing is to be yourself. Like, and I think that's a sad thing. Let me ask you a question. And this is real talk. I read the comments. I see, shout out to Sharon Saunders. Let me read Tina's comment real quick. She said, "This is bigger than a restaurant. If it's her birthright and it shows, if this is her birthright and it shows through all who met her that this is what she has designed to do. Feed souls in so many ways. Congratulations, sis, and keep moving and blessings." So, oh man. Yes. Shout out to everybody. Terrence Gatling. This is so beautiful. Ruthie said,
so beautiful.
Yeah. It's just I can't wait till you go back and read the messages and tell me what you feel in the comments. Too. Yes. Ruthie said, she says, how does she maintain good staff? That's a good business question.
Look, girl, so that is the hardest thing in any business, but especially in the restaurant industry. However, I changed my model of hiring staff a while ago. And so I've learned that I'm not going to always hire the most experienced server, the best manager, the best bus person, cook, whatever, prep person. Right. What I will do is I will hire people that genuinely love people.
Got you.
And that's what I do now. I've changed my model years ago because I can teach you how to do all of those other things. Jimmy, who's my second cook in demand. Jimmy started off as a busboy.
Wow.
Okay. Mohammed, he started off as a busboy. I'm sorry, as a dishwasher at Melba's. Mohammed started off as a porter. Okay. He's my number one cook now. So the bottom line is I can teach you how to do certain things. What I can't teach you is the passion and love for people and using food as a vehicle to make them happy. I can't teach you that. So I hire people that genuinely love working with people and love to see people happy. That's my secret sauce. It really, really is.
That's what I love. That's a good thing, everybody. Listen to that. She'll say, and go back and listen to the show. And we can't forget the iconic Champ.
Love Champ.
Yep.
Champ
and shout out to
generations. You know that. Yes. Champ used to work at the Flash Inn, as you know.
Yes.
He was the only brother working at the Flash Inn. Yep. And when the Flash Inn closed, they called me Sugar Mama. I was like, you ain't working for them? You gonna come and work for me. And I always say my staff doesn't work for me. They work with me. And Champ is by far one of my most cherished employees. But Bill, that was also part of the reason I opened up Melba's. I opened up Melba's, signed my lease in 2004. And I wanted to hire people that look like me.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I wanted to hire people from the community that look like me. And I purposely chose 114th Street because it was one of the most drug-ridden blocks.
Yes. Yeah.
As you know. In the Harlem community. So we can talk about change or we can be about change.
Right.
So I took my money from under my mattress. This space was available. Someone had already looked at the lease, but they hadn't signed the lease.
Right.
And I upped the ante on the rent. And of course, me coming in, and they knew that I was former partners with Drew and De Niro in a project.
Yes.
So that had a little.
Sometimes we got to use the people that love us and drop some names. I'm gonna drop a name right now that they said, "Hi, Grandma. Uncle Willie Walker is in the building. He's
He's so bad. Tell Willie stop saying my son is gonna have any kids. He will have kids, but no time soon. No time soon.
Shout out to my Uncle Willie Walker. He's in the building. He's listening.
But Willie is speaking into existence. My son having a baby no time soon.
He don't rush that. He's not ready for that. You're not ready to be grandma.
Not ready. Right? I may have another child before my son has a grandchild.
How about that? There's nothing wrong with that.
I always wanted more than one. So we'll see.
There you go. And if you want it and God give it to you, I want you to have it. I bless it. Because it'll be another uncle. You have another uncle.
There you go.
You know.
And then he can and then the baby can call Grandpa Willie Walker.
That's it. Yeah, exactly.
Grandpa.
Exactly.
And let Willie teach him how to drive that Jaguar.
He got the Maserati now.
He switched from the Jaguar to the Maz. That's right. I forgot.
You know what? He said. I told her all the little girls next at the school got to get it. Really, it's something else.
He's so bad. It's only one of the reasons I love him so much, though.
Yes, Norman said, there is nothing more beautiful than a Black woman. Shout out to you, Norman. People just give it all the love. Robert Rice, my little brother's in the building. He said, Big Brother Bill, tell Melba her chaplain Robert Rice loves her. I sure will.
I love Chap. I love the Chap. He's amazing.
Stefania said, being from Brooklyn, I'm embarrassed to say that I've never been to Melba's. However, I will be going shortly. It's a legendary restaurant. It absolutely is. Shout out to my man, my little brother Derek Ruffin in the building.
And I have to tell you, I love Brooklyn. Before I was going to open up Melba's on 114th Street, believe it or not, Brooklyn's the first place I looked. I looked on DeKalb and I think it was South Oxford. It was a place called the Buttercup Lounge that I was very interested in. So I love Brooklyn. I really do.
My man Roscoe said, Melba has great energy and a great motivator. You go, girl. Oh, excuse me. I mean woman. My man E.W. said, macaroni and cheese and catfish is good. And I'm going to Melba on Friday. Love Bill and Melba. Appreciate you, man. Listen.
Thank you.
Sharon Saunders says, genuine passion for making people happy and using food as a vehicle. I'm going to push this in my performance review at work. You better. Cheryl White says, you are absolutely right about 114 being infested with drugs. And we knew the drug dealers. So yes, it was. And she said, I couldn't walk my children to school without seeing everything go on. You're right about that. Shout out to Eunice Collins. Willie Walker says, he said he loves you, woman. Sheila Ennis says, I love you, Melba. Your mac and cheese is so amazing. See you soon.
Thank you, everybody. Sheila. Thank you. But that's what it's about. I woke up and I'm like, if not me, who? And if not now, when? Right. We have got to put on our armor, our coat of armor, and go into the world and be the change that we seek. And so many of you guys are doing that. And I appreciate that. But for me, at a young age back then, I wanted to be a part of the change that I wanted for my community. And so, from vision to reality, as they say.
I think you are the change. And, it's so funny how you have established yourself in Harlem. Now, it's a shame if a person ever comes to Harlem that they have to put Melba. It used to be Sylvia, and Lord, let them, shout out to our Sylvia family, let them still be there. But you got to come to New York and spend 3 to 4 days and let Melba be on that list too, because you cannot just go to Sylvia's and not come to Melba's, because the bottom line is the pendulum is shifting. I mean, you've dined with princesses and kings and duchesses, and then you've been with A$AP Ferg and A$AP Rocky to Freddie Jackson. Shout out to Freddie Jackson, our brother, like Allison. We would all be in Melba's. Let me tell you something, and this is before you expanded it. Tell us that.
Yeah.
About that.
Oh my God. Yeah. When it was a 40-seater, and we were crunched in like this. But I have to tell you, Sylvia's has set the table for
Right.
so many of us to be where we are, and so much, and shined a spotlight on the Harlem community. And if it weren't for Sylvia's, I'm sure there probably wouldn't be a Melba's. So,
Yeah,
you know, I always pay homage, and you know, the Queen in Heaven, I always appreciate her, and you know, for having me and making sure that I got a seat at the table. So,
and you know what's so funny? Let me just ask you that, and that is so true, because a lot of us don't tip our hats. I'm one big person that anybody that knows me, I hate non-loyalty. And you just said something that's so true. You gave praise. And sometimes that's all people want to hear is thank you.
Yeah.
You know, if you can just elaborate a little bit.
Sure. Josefina Howard, who started Rosa Mexicano. Josefina was like my big sister.
Right.
And I met Mrs. Howard. I called her Josefina, but I met her at a party. I think it was a 35th birthday party for Drew Neaparent. And she said, "Why don't you come and work for me?" And I said, "Because I'm building my own restaurant." She goes, "Well, until you do, come and work for me." I said, "Yes, ma'am." And, you know, I can show you pictures. I was the first Black person, the first person of color working at Rosa Mexicano on 58th and 1st. And I started in the kitchen. Because it's so important for us to know the history of anything before we get into it. So it's important for me to know the history of Huitlacoche. It's important for me to know the history of cactus. It's important for me to know the history of mole. Okay? It's important for me to know that before I step into the forefront of the business. And so the lesson that I got from just being in the kitchen for the months that I was there, and being around the chefs and learning about the different peppers, you know, where they come from. That's the reason. So the reason I have the chipotle sauce with the cactus at Melba's is my way of paying homage to my very dear friend who is smiling down from heaven, Josefina Howard. The chipotle peppers are a smoky Mexican pepper, and I love them so much. And it was my simple but quiet way of paying tribute to Josefina Howard.
Wow, that's awesome. I have a comment in here. I want to read a few more comments. And I have one from this lady named Malika Forster. So I have to read this comment. She said, she said, "Melba, you are absolutely beautiful inside out. Thank you for being such an amazing role model. Lots of love always." That's what's up.
I love you. Mrs. Forster. Love you.
Eunice Collins, who's like a mother to me. She says, "I love Melba. My stepdaughter took me to Melba's for her first visit. I fell in love with the food, and I am a Southern woman. Last time, my stepdaughter Robin Kelly and Adriano. Wow, that's what's up. You know,
thank you so much, Miss Eunice. Thank you.
Yeah, this is so beautiful, and I love the just the pouring love. People want to be close to you and celebrate you. And I know I have you for about 5 more minutes. I don't want my sister mad at me, so I ain't gonna keep you going.
No, never.
No,
that doesn't happen. Look, I woke up this morning. What do I have to be mad about?
And people don't understand that life is too short to have the sour pumpkin puss face all the time. Listen,
if we didn't understand that before, the last 2 years should have really taught us that. Seriously,
absolutely,
not that serious.
Absolutely.
It's not that serious.
You know,
people they go, "Oh, but this just happened." Da, 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 da. All right, let's figure it out. If I'm stressed and depressed, I can't figure it out.
Right.
So, and we come from a people that were oppressed and stressed, and they figured it out.
Yeah. And you know what's so funny, Melba? I tell people all the time, if they ever teach our kids in school that we were kings and queens before we were slaves, maybe it'll change the whole ideology of so many different things.
And that's what Africa did for me. You're 100% right, Bill. That is what my first trip, and I've been back many times since then, different parts of Africa. That is what it did for me. You're 100% correct in that.
You know, I mean, because it's such a sad thing that the first thing you pick up a book, you see us in chains. But wait a minute, we were wearing robes and crowns and kings
Yeah.
and conquered Italy and every other place we go.
Come on
Anytime we
now.
put our foot, you know, start putting
Come on.
put foot to derriere. You know what I'm saying?
So that's one of the reasons when you see me, oftentimes I'm wearing jewelry from Black designers.
Yes.
Here I'm wearing Corinne Simpson, and anytime I'm on television or interviewed or take a picture,
Yes.
whether it's being listed as one of the most powerful women in New York by Cranes or inducted into the Hall of Fame, anything I'm doing, Kelly and Ryan, I was on Wendy, you will always see me wearing Corinne Simpson, the Black cameo.
Yes.
Always. My clothes, Sai Sankoff. Okay.
Right.
Every time I step out as Sai or as Toure, I'm always repping my people because I'm never showing up to the party alone.
Right.
If I'm wearing an apron, it's by House of Nambia. I'm never showing up alone. Or from B Fall. I'm always representing not just me, because the door isn't open. If I'm the only one walking in the door, then guess what? We are not winning.
Right.
So when Harry and Meghan came to Harlem, it wasn't about Melba's.
Right.
They could have gone anywhere in the world. It was about how do I use this opportunity to put a spotlight on my community? It's so much bigger than Melba's. It's about the Harlems in the world who people feel that they're not seen, they're not heard. Like I said, I just got a publicist, and the only reason I got the publicist is because I was opening up Woolman Rink in
Central Park, right?
In Central Park, right? But otherwise, I would have never even gotten a publicist. So when Harry and Meghan came, I didn't have a publicist at the time. So that's not why Harry and Meghan came. But someone said to me, you're an overnight success. I'm like, only took me 18 years to become an overnight success. But the opportunity is not about we. It's how do we parlay this into inspiring and encourage people that come from the different communities in the world, letting them know that if I can, you can too. If I can, so can you.
Yeah.
And I am not different. I am you. And that's why people relate to me so much, because I'm not embarrassed by my story, Bill.
No.
I'm not embarrassed or ashamed of my struggle, because those are the ingredients that have been poured into me to make the Melba pie.
Shout out to my man, Keith Bush. He said, Melba, I love your food. Shout out to everybody that's chiming in. This is a celebration of life. This is me giving my sister her props, because the bottom line is, we can say it all the time, but I can show it for those that know, like I try to do, give you informative information and give you thought-provocative stuff. And, during Black History Month, like I said, we can sit here and we can run off a bunch of names that people may just hear, Du Bois or Douglas, or any name that you want to throw out there, Black inventors. But the bottom line is, here's a person that you can actually go touch and say hello to and support. So if you're about being a conscious individual, as we say we are, if some of us are and some of us aren't, and you want to support a Black business, then here she is right now in the flesh. And then you can say, I saw you on the podcast, Real Talk Chronicles, and she would say, oh, and you know what Melba's going to say? And won't you purchase her book? How about that? Right? Hollister, that's what we say. How about that? Do something, show somebody some love, man. Keith, Regina Pregis is in the house. Marianne is in the building. Shout out to Harlem Strong. Everybody's watching. Like I said, I know it's about that time. I have a couple of more questions.
Okay.
For anybody aspiring to follow their dreams, because a lot of times people block their own blessings. Sometimes, you know what I'm saying? I don't know. I don't think, how come they're not going to give me a loan, or whatever the case may be. Like, your story is phenomenal. The fact that you said you saved money, old school, that is missing in today's society. You know what I'm saying? Old school values and traditions. We've always said, like you said, you stashing money. My mother told me, she said, yo, always get you some mad money in case you get kicked out of a girl's house. You know what I'm saying? You ain't always coming back here. So, I mean, it's those kind of things, like to be taught how to cook and clean and things of that magnitude. So I guess the first question I have for you is, what would you tell somebody if they were sitting there, well, they're listening and they say, Melba, what advice do you give me to starting my business? You know, you can run down some points, whatever.
Sure. The first thing that I would say, I would ask you to ask yourself this question. Is it a business or is it a hobby? Two totally different things. A business or a hobby. What do I mean by that? Is there demand and supply?
Right.
That's the first thing. You want to be able, for a business, you want to be able to meet a demand and offer a supply, right? You want to know how you're going to supply that demand. So that's number one. Is it a business or is it a hobby? Is this something that you absolutely cannot live without? Is it something that brings you joy from your spirit and from your soul? Because they're going to be hard times. And the only way that you're going to be able to survive those times is if it's something that gives you utter joy. Also, I would say spend some time in that industry. Volunteer. I didn't say work for free. I said volunteer. Don't tell me volunteer means work for free. Volunteer to me means that you are going to dedicate your time, your energy, and in return, you are gaining knowledge and information and connections. Speaking of connections, one of my most favorite words in the world is relationships. If you know me, you know that's, I always talk about that. Make great relationships, especially in the industry that you're looking to get into. Last but not least, it's all about the team. I think one of the things that makes me smart is that I know, and I'm upfront with myself, not about what I know, but what I don't know. What I don't know, I'm never afraid to say, you know what? I don't know how to do this. You know what? I don't know how to do that. But what I'm smart enough to do is to recognize what I don't know and to surround myself with a group of people that complement the idea or whatever it is I am trying to bring into fruition. And last but not least, I never say impossible. I instead say I'm possible. It takes that faith and for you to believe in yourself in order for your dreams to come true. So those are some of my special tips. One thing I did leave out, Bill, I have to say, pen to paper. I'm about writing it down. I always have a black and white composition book in my bag, in my home, in every room in my home, and I write my ideas down. 7 habits of highly effective people, writing things down. If your eyes can see it, your mind can believe it, and you can achieve it.
There it is. I mean, you know, when you, I don't know, when you first started thinking about owning a restaurant or establishing yourself, did you have any naysayers that be like, come on, girl, stop playing. Let's go to this party or let's do this or knock it off. You know what I'm saying? And those are the ones. I put up a post, I think, the other day, and I'm just paraphrasing. I think it said, real people, I mean, like successful people have mentors and people in their life, and people that don't do anything have like opinionated people. You know what I'm saying? Somebody that's always around. I'm paraphrasing what my post said, because a lot of times you will always have those individuals like, come on, really? You ain't gonna be anything. You're not gonna. And now those are the same ones that are coming out talking about, yo, they'll be the ones that say, I remember I told Melba when she first started that, yo, go ahead and do that, girl.
Bill, I have a lot of those. You know, first of all, I'm Black. I'm female. I'm from Harlem.
Yes.
And I'm in a predominantly white, male-dominated industry. Yeah, there were lots and loads of those people that didn't think I'd make it, that said I couldn't make it, that thought I was crazy. But you know, it's called faith. It's that other F word, faith. Faith, the size of a what? Of a mustard seed. You know, I grew up with Ophelia DeVore, who was like my second mom. You know, I saw my grandmother raised 9 kids. I saw my grandfather own a store in the small town of Hemingway, South Carolina. So, my first business I had when I was 26, I started a company called Rent a Chauffeur.
Okay.
So I think because I had positivity poured within me, and even in my village of Harlem,
yes,
my Uncle Coolidge used to be the number runner.
Yes.
It's a business. It was a
That's
business.
exactly.
Sylvia Woods, of course. I've had so many people pour into me, and I knew I could do it. But there are always going to be naysayers.
Exactly. And those are the ones you just.
I'm encouraged and inspired by the naysayers, but my foundation tells my foundation is stronger than the naysayers.
Absolutely.
And so is my faith, baby.
Yeah.
So is my faith.
And you believe in a higher power, because the bottom line is you're protected. You know what I'm saying? Like your establishment is self-secured, because at any given moment, everybody in that establishment, if you come in and act up, will all jump on you at the same time. We are all, listen.
I've never had security, as you know. I don't care if DJ Khaled's walking in, Harry, Meghan, Zendaya, who I love, Tom Holland, Harry Belafonte. And I'm always honored, because these are like, how did you even hear about us? Or the locals from the neighborhood that keep me going, that have always had a word of encouragement for me. That during the pandemic, can I just tell you, my community showed up.
Showed up and showed out. Absolutely.
They sure did. And if I didn't know then, I know now. We fed over 200,000 people during the pandemic. So in lieu of advertising, Bill, I don't know, I don't often talk about this, but in lieu of advertising, what I do is I quarterly donate my advertising budget back to the community. That's something I've been doing since I've opened. So if, God forbid, we get inquiries all the time, a funeral, they don't have food. We don't publicize it. We just do it. That's not what you post about.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You just do. A special occasion, somebody can't, if we have it within our budget, which a lot of times we do, we give back. And so it's not always the biggest organization, but it's warm, Women Against Violence, that my friend Stephanie runs. But it's organizations like that that keep us going, that keep us humbled, and that keep us grounded. And my theory, and my team always knows, the only time we look down on somebody is what? When we're picking them up.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And then a lot of people don't understand that. And especially if you said your friend that does the thing. I remember you had Nas. We were with Maria Davis. We were at the Harlem State Office building feeding, I think, it was in lieu of something with the homeless, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, you've given back. Shout out to Yvette. Like I said, Yvette Hayward. We were doing a literacy thing once a month. We were there. So you've always done that. If there's anything I can do, if your friend needs some kind of person to come and speak to women of domestic violence.
Oh, that would be amazing, Bill.
Absolutely.
I really appreciate that. I would love that. I would really love that. And when I talked about different tools, also have people around you that are like-minded.
Right.
So Yvette Hayward and I used to sit down with my dear sister friend, who is my ride or die. Absolutely. Yvette and I used to go out to coffee shops. Mm-hmm. And we used to sit down, and she would talk about the African American Literary Awards show that she wanted to birth. And I would talk about my restaurant that I wanted to birth. So having someone who is like-minded, who's also a dreamer, but not just a dreamer, someone who understood the probability, not the possibility, but the probability of her dream becoming reality, just like I understood the probability of my dream becoming reality, was imperative to my success, was instrumental to my success. Like you said, there are a lot of naysayers. Had I been hanging around with one of those naysayers, it could have crept into my subconscious, and perhaps Melba's wouldn't have been. So be careful about the people that you surround yourself with.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I say it all the time. It is such a blessing to be around strong women, and strong men. You know, and like I said, my uncle will tell you, I'll pluck his brain as much as I can on anybody that I feel that is knowledge worthy. Like, and the thing is, it just doesn't have to be a man. Just as I'm sitting here listening to you, you've given me more inspiration to stay with a podcast, because I've thrown parties, been one of the top promoters in the city. But I could throw something, I could put a party together and not give anything but quality, and have 1,000 and 1,500 people. A podcast is the hardest thing to do, and it's okay, because I love it. Because let me tell you something: for the people that say, "Bill, I love what you're doing," you know, you're putting out real information. You're talking about stuff that is important. That means the world to me, especially during the pandemic time. So I appreciate you, and I've listened to what you've said. And the bottom line is just to give back, because the one thing I think that's the beautiful thing about yourself that I think I love, and I'm sure you love it about me, is humility. We are always from, you know,
grateful and gracious, Bill. Grateful
absolutely.
and gracious. Yeah.
Two more. And I know I got you. What do you want to see to New York right now is going through? Shout out to Eric Adams. He's trying to do the best he can do. I was an officer with Eric, so I know he means well. The city has changed a lot. If Melba could wave a magic wand, what would be something that you could do? What do you think that you would be able to do to change the culture of the world right now? Not just New York, just the world. What would be something that Melba would wave her magic wand and change the culture of the world?
Well, I am on Mayor Adams' recovery task force, so
awesome.
Happy to be on that. So I want to start with home first, because I feel we got to take care of home first. So to change New York, first of all, I would say mental health is a big issue, and it's an issue that it's sort of like you sweep it under the rug. And my grandmother used to say, "Melby, you clean this house and you sweep the dirt under the rug, house is not clean." And I think mental health has been something that has been swept under the rug, not just in New York City, but in our country. People don't want to talk about it, and not talking about it means that we have not understood the magnitude of the problem, but we can't understand the magnitude of the problem if we, first of all, don't admit that the problem even exists.
Yeah.
So I think we have to tackle, first of all, the issue of mental health. And then I would say in this country, we have a problem with guns.
Yes, absolutely.
We have a problem with guns. When you have kids getting killed, shot at, maimed, lives being taken just like that, and the guns are still on the street, no one's doing anything about it. There's a problem with gun control, and people in our country are dying at a rate that's unparalleled to any place else in the world.
Yes.
What does that tell you? It's a problem. We've got to look it in the eye. We've got to address it. Gun reform has to happen, has to take place. The Voting Rights Bill Act has to be passed.
Yes, very much so. Very much.
You know, and I have, I'm a little salty about this. I'm a little salty about it because I feel that President Biden should have passed it previously.
Yes, absolutely.
I feel you can't use us to get the seat at the table.
Preach now. Go ahead, preach on.
Can't use Clyburn, Stace. You can't use us to get the seat at the table, and then when you get to the table, not invite us.
Right.
And so I'm a little disappointed. Not a little. I'm a lot disappointed that this has not been tackled. And I am a Democrat, but I feel that you can't go to, I'm going to say this and I'm going to use this word. You can't go to a gunfight. No, you can't go to, let me say gunfight, even though I don't literally mean gunfight, but you can't go to a gunfight with a slingshot.
Can't do it. Can't do it.
Okay. And these Republicans, like, it's not, they're not looking to be fair. I mean, when they take over the House again, come on. Do you really think that? I mean, look at Barack Obama.
Yeah.
Mitch said, I'm going to block everything that Obama tries to pass. And he did.
Right.
The worst thing, one of the worst things our president did was wear a beige suit. And we know how they treated him for that. Okay.
Is that crazy?
All right. So I think that gun control,
right,
mental health, and drugs.
Right. Very much so.
Of course, voting rights. We can't go back.
I love the fact that you know what's so funny. The reason why I asked you this question, because a lot of times people sometimes get thrown off the head that you can be a conscious person. A lot of times, we're talking about, your success and your celebration of life and your flowers. But the thing is, people, just like when I've had Lenny on the show and they start hearing and talking in their political tone, people get a little thrown back. And I tell them all the time, why? Why do you think they don't know what's going on in the world? So you have an opinion and, you have feelings and you see, because the thing is, bad surroundings will stop your business. And we don't want that. You know what I'm saying? People can still come. But if people out here feeling scared to come out and patronize because they're afraid, God forbid, they're walking to some place and the streets are getting crazy. You understand what I'm saying? So I say, from a man to a woman, just from a sister, just be careful. And I tell everybody, like, just watch your back, because the bottom line is the man has his hands full. I don't say he's tied, because I believe that he really is going to change. It's going to take some time, and we all have to galvanize and pull together.
We really do. Yeah, we really do. I want to piggyback on something you said. You're right. I have a business, but more importantly, I have a son.
Bang.
I have a son.
Bang.
I have a son, Bill. I have a Black male child that just upon him walking in the door, being 6'10" and brown skinned, being a Black man, people don't know that he's a gentle giant.
Absolutely.
You understand?
Yeah.
And do people care to get the chance to know that? Oftentimes, no. So more importantly than having a business, I have a Black son that I am raising in this place we called America.
Yeah.
So that is why I fight. That is why I go hard. That is why I open my mouth, because there but for the grace of God.
Go out. Yes. Okay. There you go. I'm going to ask you a question for me, and then I want you to close out with some positive affirmation, because you did stay. You gave me some brother love. You stayed over the time, and I so appreciate you, because I want you to get your rest so you can go and conquer the world again. So I can tell everybody that's my sister out there. She's doing the damn thing. So shout out to everybody that's chiming in. I see you, Derek. I see you, Donnie Roth. Hey, Pat. How's everybody chiming in? Cheryl said also, she said, mental health has definitely been left out on every plan put in place during the pandemic. They totally dropped the ball, which results in unnecessary deaths and injuries around the world. Shut up. Mike Malibu is in the building. Roscoe, he said, gun control will never happen without dealing with the NRA and Congress. They work together. A mayor, a governor, and the president doesn't run anything but their mouths. You want change? The House of Reps and the U.S. Senate run this country and all its failed rules. Absolutely. Let me just give a public service announcement with that. Roscoe and hopefully my other buddy is coming on, and they're going to discuss next week, if I get the schedule together, what it's like to be an undercover in the New York City Police Department. So that's something that we'll discuss about. And I was a former undercover. That's going to be something great. If I may, from now on, with your blessings, just like I mentioned all these other things that sponsor my show, I would like to mention Melba as an official sponsor of Real Talk Chronicles, if that's a blessing. And please, I
need to send the check.
Oh, no, not at all. Just give me a little sign so I can show and say Melba's restaurant or something.
I got you. I got you.
And stuff like that. And without further ado, please give us some.
I'm gonna pay you in chicken and waffles. Okay.
There you go. Give us some
I
positive
love you. You know you
affirmation.
have my support, Bill. All jokes aside.
Absolutely, absolutely. We got each other. So before I let you go, give some positive affirmation to anybody that's listening. Whatever it is you want to say, the floor is yours. You speak as long as you want, and whatever Melba wants to say, close it out.
Oh my God. Wow. So it's one of my favorite things, it's a quote from Harriet Tubman, and I'm going to paraphrase.
Right.
As a matter of fact, no, give me a second. I'll bring it up real
quick. Okay, I'll do some more public service announcements to read. Everybody, Sure. If you like what you've heard, subscribe to it. If you watch it on YouTube, if you watch it on Facebook, go. If you're my friend or Melba's friend or whomever's friend, share it under the names. It said share. Push the share button and let everybody hear this beautiful, iconic individual speak about herself, because this is a celebration of life. This is Black History Month, and we gave her flowers tonight. So please let everybody know about Melba's restaurant. Tell a friend, go there, mention Melba, mention Bill. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, you'll get a seat fast. You might not.
Well, of course you're going to see, without a doubt. Thank you, Bill. Thank you so much. So this is something that I read to myself every day. I read it in the morning when I wake up, and it fuels me. And it's something that I read at night before I go to bed. And I wanted to just read it exactly as it was said. I kind of paraphrase it sometimes, but it says, I'm sorry, I can't see the light. It says, every great dream begins with a dreamer. Always remember, you have within you the strength, the patience, and the passion to make your dreams reality. So I just want people to know that anything that you want to do, you can reach the stars, and you can bring change within the world. And I think I just came back from Dubai.
I saw you on Instagram. Just the wind was blowing. I was like, I said, look at the Black goddess out there.
Yeah, and I see so much of myself in Dubai. And what I mean by that was, if you think years ago, before 2005, Dubai was a desert. Nobody went there. Right. And now it's become one of the top 5 destinations in the world. Yes. And it's become one of the top 5 destinations in the world because they went from vision to reality. They had dreams and they manifested those dreams and they made them happen. Of course, there was a lot of money behind it, but I identify with that because I too have dreams, just like a lot of us. So continue to dream. Don't eliminate the word fear from your life, and know that if I can, you can too. If I can, so can you.
Absolutely. Where's Melba's restaurant, and what services do you offer for people, anybody that wants your, because I know you used to do catering. I don't know if you still do it.
Still do catering.
Okay. So tell everybody what they can do, how they can reach you.
Sure. So I still do catering, and catering 365 days a year. You can reach us at Melba's Restaurant, 300 West 114th Street, Harlem, New York, 10026. Phone number 212-864-7777. Again, 212-864-7777. On Instagram, Melba's Harlem, Twitter, Melba's Harlem, right. And personal, I think it's officially Melba's. But more importantly, you can reach me at my house, in that restaurant. I'm there a lot. And I just want to thank you guys. Seriously, Bill, thank you for caring enough to highlight Melba's, and again, for giving people like me and the people unlike me, but for giving people a voice. Because we can have a message, but if that message does not have a vehicle from which to flow through and to be heard, it's just a message within me. So thank you so much for giving us that vehicle. I really appreciate you, and your friendship means the world to me. And to everybody who's sent in a text or a message, oh my God, my heart is overwhelmed with joy.
As soon as we get off, I'm gonna send it to you. I'm gonna text you and send it to you. Exactly.
And I'm gonna respond too. But thank you guys for watching And thank you for supporting. I know that it does not fall within deaf ears, and that I do remain yours from Harlem, gracious and grateful. Thank you.
Everybody,
Thanks
that's
a lot.
Melba Wilson. Everybody, that's Melba Wilson. Give some hearts, put some thumbs up for that lady, please. Happy Black History Month. You are saluted. You are celebrated. You are everything that Harlem is. You represent Harlem, and I mean, you represent your parents. You're love really is. So
Thank
anything,
you.
Melba, appreciate you. Go get your
Thank
rest.
you.
All right.
Thank you. Bye, everyone. Thanks, Bill. Thank you.
Bye. Love you.
Bye.
Be good.
Love you too. Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.
So everybody, that was Melba Wilson. Please subscribe, share to it, do whatever you have to do. She was here. Listen, this is Real Talk Chronicles. This is what we do. You want me to remove you, Melba? Or you want to hang out for you? Good. Okay, I'll remove you. All right, I got you. You're always welcome to come back, but you have to log out, Melba. You have to remove yourself too. Everybody, so that was Melba. Next week we got Leon Ellis coming in for Black History Month too. The owner of Chocolat and Harlem Underground. He will be coming back to have some conversation. Coming up next Wednesday. Hopefully I can get my undercovers together so we can chop it up and talking about what it was like to be an undercover in New York City Police Department. This Wednesday, we got to talk. Kim Potter. She got 16 months. Really? Let's talk about the judge. Let's talk about a lot of things. It's crazy. Also, too, Mark, you said something. I'm gonna mention it to Melba too. Maybe we could do a live broadcast for Real Talk Chronicles there one night. I'm going to throw that at Melba, and that's just awesome. Everybody, I appreciate you for chiming in. I'm your host, Bill Forster. Thank you all for sticking with me, hanging with me, and celebrating Melba. I read the comments. Thank you, Cheryl. Thank you. Thank you, Yvette. Yes, she is, Halia. I will make sure she gets this so she can read all of this. This is awesome. Allison, late but here. Allison, yes, we told her you said hi. We definitely told her you said hi, Allie Cat. Lisa Clark, I see you. So we're about to get out of here. Any content, stuff you want me to? I'm also, let me please, before I get out of here, I have to give my condolences to the families of Mr. Michael Garrett, my childhood friend, and also to a legendary promoter, Mr. Silk Productions. Both of them are having their services this week. I think I'll post Silk. I posted Silk's information, and Mike. I'll post Mike's information for those that know these individuals. I think there was something else I wanted to mention to you guys before I got out of here. Oh, I'm going to start doing a baseball segment when baseball season starts. So I already have my boy Sal Mata on. So we're going to be talking sports. Also, I'm looking to do an end of the second half of the basketball segment. And I have a couple of people in mind. I'm going to ask them. So we'll just come in and chime in and talk some basketball to count down to the second half. I'm going to start a promotional segment on nightlife. I was very involved in that. So I have Lincoln, Melvin, and Sam Tuga coming on for those that partied back in the days. Guys, legendary promoters. They will be coming on March 3rd. We'll be doing, I think that's a Thursday. I'm doing March 3rd. Rest in peace to Silk. Following that, I will be doing Sparkle Entertainment and so on and so on. So I'm going to be doing some stuff. Thank you, Eunice. Appreciate you. Tuesday. What's happening? Oh, y'all guys are talking comments. Yeah, Lenny and Indy were supposed to come on. Oh, Stefania. Yes, well, Lenny is in Costa Rica, and I'm trying to find out if he was going to come on tomorrow. So he might still come on, but he hasn't called and confirmed the date. He's called and told me about everything else, but he hasn't called and confirmed the date, Stefania. I didn't forget. I just didn't mention because I hadn't got confirmation. I thought it was confirmed verbally, but I didn't want to put it out there in the universe, and he didn't show. So until I get a confirmation tomorrow, if you see a post that I'm having Lenny and Indy on tomorrow, then you know I got the confirmation. If not, then you know he might be somewhere sucking down coladas or something like that. He might not have came back. So this Wednesday, Kevin and Chuck and Richard and I will be here. We'll be talking about the Kim Potter, the Dante Wright trial, the verdict, and we'll have some other content for you to show you and see your thoughts and things of that magnitude. Everybody, I'm your host, Bill Forster, Real Talk Chronicles, and my lovely wife. Thank you for my lovely wife, Malika Forster. Thank you all, each and every one of you. I appreciate you. Until Wednesday or maybe tomorrow. We'll see you. So we got a nice schedule coming up. So please tune in, tell a friend, share it. We got some stuff to talk about, everybody. Every day there's something new. Be careful. Everybody, this is Real Talk Chronicles with your co-host, Allison Williams. Say hi to her. She is in the building. She's listening to you. So give some hearts up for Allison. She will be back March 21st to tell a little bit of her testimony, and it'll be in celebration of Women's Month. So her, Malika, and maybe somebody else. I see. We have come on and talk about their testimony. So please chime in, watch us, share us, let people know it's real talk, man. And you are real talkers. So I see you soon. Bye, everybody.